Welcome to the Black Business Network. My name is Marak Hicks, and I am the founder and CEO of Miracle Recruiting. I am your moderator for this evening on the Black Business Network. The Black Business Network is a 24-hour business network showcasing Black businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders worldwide. We have speakers from North Carolina, London, Singapore, Africa, Japan, and cities all over the United States. The Black Business Network is a global community sharing its business knowledge to empower, inspire, and educate businesses about business. Our next speaker is Dr. Maasi J. Smith. Maasi J. Smith, DPM, received his Doctor of Podiatric Medicine from Temple University School of Podiatric Medicine in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is also a graduate of Hampton University, located in Hampton, Virginia, an HBCU. Currently, Dr. Smith is a podiatric surgeon who also serves as the Chief of Podiatry for the Urban Health Initiatives. In addition, he is a medical contributor to Fox 29's Good Day Philadelphia show and the 10 o'clock news. He has also appeared locally on both CBS TV and NBC 10. As well, Dr. Smith is a frequent guest on a number of radio programs, including the Tom Joyner Morning Show. He has lectured nationally and even created his own foot care products line back in 2010. Dr. Smith is the author of Mischief Makers, a spine-tingling tale of sheer horror that is now in its second printing. This revised edition is his first novel. He presently resides in the Garden State with his family. I now present to you Dr. Maasi J. Smith.
How are you? Hello.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat. I'll kick it to you. Genius is coming, and I'll see you on the other side.
Look at that guy. Hey, Dave. How are you, man?
How you doing, brother? It is so good to have you, man. Hey, look, we just did a presentation earlier, on our Biz in a Box and how, that's building the foundation and then putting people into the metaverse, which I want you guys all to know that that's what this is about. It's about,
Absolutely.
You actually have a healthcare professional that's going to be telling you and dropping these dimes of what's going on. And you guys right now can go watch this in the Hello Plaza metaverse right now from your phone, from your laptop, and your VR headsets. And that's why we share with people, this is the future and it's already here. So, before we start talking about the metaverse and all of this, what is the metaverse to you, Dr. Smith?
You know what? The metaverse to me is I would say opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity that a lot of people, in which I see on your network here, you're really trying to get the word out there. But that's what I would say. And the reason why I keep it so simple, because you have to keep it simple because the language, people aren't used to that language yet. People aren't even sure what the metaverse is. They think Facebook is the metaverse. And no, it's just meta. So I say metaverse, if I have to explain to somebody right now, it's opportunity. And if you can get past, if you want to ask more after that point, that's when you get the details. But it means it's opportunity.
Absolutely. And not only that, people have to understand that the metaverse is the third generation of the internet. And that we're literally going from black and white, this 2D color screen to a 3D immersive screen. And it's kind of like trying to share with somebody, hey, you see that in 3D movie? And the person's just used to watching black and white or listening to, the radio. You cannot explain what a 3D movie looks like to somebody that hasn't seen it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so that's where people have to understand that it is the pivot. So, how do you foresee, virtual reality and the metaverse impacting the healthcare industry in the future?
Oh, I see it being an amazing way. One, as you know, I have VR healthcare and multiverse. I see one as a collaboration between professionals internationally and with ease. I mean, where else can you sit with another doctor from, let's say, China, a similar profession, where you guys can collaborate almost instantaneously and kind of like a hybrid between meeting in person, in other words, flying to China or Japan or whatever, or flying here. But it's like that perfect hybrid of we can talk right now. There are tools that we can use, in other words, photographs, videos that we can pull out of our hand and display. Like, not only can I explain what I'm trying to explain, try to explain something to you, but I can also visualize it and throw it on a big old screen and say, hey, this is what I'm talking about. And that can't be done from a 2D perspective. You can try, but it's so totally different when you're actually interacting with the person in front of you. And And you're right. People can't get it unless they do it. I had one person that said, "Well, what's the difference? We have Zoom." Oh God, really? That's it's it's so far. It's like horse and buggy versus a car. They both will get you there, and I mean, you can get down the street, you can get there, but it's just the way you get there. And I mean, that's the way I see it. I see that collaboration, and not to mention the collaboration with patients. That just makes sense because now all of a sudden people can ask doctors questions that they don't necessarily have to take a day off work. They can sit on their couch if they just have specific questions. Now, obviously, if there's actual medical care that needs to be rendered, they have to come into the office. But a lot of times people take time off work, have to do things with the kids, make special arrangements so they can come in and ask me from a foot care perspective, something they could have showed me a picture of. And not all things, some things have to be clinically evaluated in person, but some things I say, oh, well, we know what's going on there. Saved a whole lot of time and energy.
And you say that because we've had conversations in Metaverse, guys, for hours and hours.
A
lot of hours. And we've talked about this. And, it's just the simple fact that most people don't get that just, by 2030, the healthcare industry with Metaverse is going to be worth $1 trillion.
It's going to be huge.
By 2028, it's going to be worth $30 billion. And
right.
I put this perspective out there, and I asked my dad this question last night. I said, Dad, how long does it take you to count to 1 million? He said, boy, I don't know. You tell me. I said, Dad, it takes 11 days. I said, now, how long do you think it takes you to count to 1 billion? He said, boy, stop playing with me. You know it's too late. I said, Dad, it takes you 32 years to count to 1 billion.
Okay.
And I said, 1 trillion, Dad, I'm going to go ahead and spare you. He said, I know I'm not going to make it there. I said, yes, it's 32,263 years to count to 1 trillion. Wow. And they're saying that in 2028, the healthcare industry utilizing the metaverse, guys, is going to be worth $30 billion. Oh, yeah. And in 7 years from now, 6, because this year's over with, it's going to be worth 1 trillion. So that's huge, Yeah. And so, with that being said, are there any specific medical procedures or treatments that you think could benefit, integrating the metaverse in this 3D virtual reality?
Oh, yeah, there are tons. Well, I mean, from a educational standpoint as well as a treatment standpoint. I mean, think about that for a second. If a patient really wants to know how a procedure is done, if they have specific questions, you can actually show them in the 3D environment. There was in VR healthcare, we have a neurology building. And I think on the top floor, what I did was I put a video where they're actually 3D rendering brain cancer. And it's not, and here's the thing where people just don't get it. They think it's not the real brain. No, it's that person's brain. The brain cancer that's identified is actually pinpointed, and it allows the surgeon to be able to effectively figure out how they're going to dissect or approach the excision of that particular tumor, or whatever the treatment plan particularly is, whether it's radiation. But it just allows so much, even for myself, from a foot care standpoint and foot surgery, it allows us to be able to visually, from either I'm talking to a colleague or a patient, this is exactly what's going to be done. And it's clear and it's precise. And again, it's that hybrid between meeting you in person and actually meeting you. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to meet you in person. It's like us right here. We're having this conversation, right? But it'd be totally different if your avatar was sitting right here with me. That's a whole different feeling. It's a whole comfortable aspect. It allows people to feel more comfortable. And granted, they're not seeing you in person, but they feel like they're seeing you in person. Remember, your senses take over in the metaverse. Your senses take over. Like you don't realize you're not there with that person. You don't realize that person's in California. They're in Oklahoma, wherever they are. They feel like they're right there with you. And that's one of the dynamics people have yet to experience. And that's why I always say, when people really get a taste of the metaverse, they're going to really get it. They're going to look at this, they may look at this video and say, what is he talking about? But they'll be the same people that have never put on an Oculus headset.
Boom. I'm so glad you said that, because what happens a lot of the times is that people talk about the metaverse. And I ask anybody this when they talk about the metaverse. Okay, number one, do you have your Oculuses or the soon to come Apple VR headsets?
Right.
How many hours have you spent in metaverse? Okay. Not only that, number three, what did you go in metaverse to do? Did you go play games, Or did you really go in there and see how you could build your brand, build your business, and take it into the future? Because those are two different ways of going into the metaverse. Because a lot of the times what happens is that people, start talking about it and then they don't know, and they listen to the brother-in-law or the sister-in-law that's eating Cheetos, voting on American Idol from last year, telling them that metaverse ain't the future, when I just told you that by 2030, it's going to be worth in total about $2.5 trillion.
So much the future.
You're missing the point. So, one of the things, you kind of answered it, but I want to go back to it, because you're talking about you, right? How it can benefit you as a physician and a doctor, right? How does this benefit the actual, patients? How does it benefit them?
Well, now we're still talking about the whole gambit of medicine. How it all depends on what discipline of medicine. But I think, but actually, that really doesn't depend. Any discipline of medicine can benefit. Just imagine if somebody has a phobia. I mean, people have seen this video. That's why I'm going to bring this one particular up. It's not mental health is not my expertise, but think about that for a second. If you have a phobia and you have a VR safe environment to address that phobia, how else to get over that phobia? You know what I mean? You can sit on a couch and you can talk to your counselor all day, but when they can bring you into a world and address it on a step-by-step basis and slowly bring you into it and allow you to address it little by little. I mean, think about all our veterans that have the trauma. They have these abilities to be able to introduce these wonderful techniques in an environment of your choice. That's what's amazing. If I'm talking, yeah, you're right. If I'm talking about my, foot doctor stuff, but you can choose an environment. We can choose a field in the middle of some exotic land and talk about your foot problems. How much more comfortable is that? As far as patients, they have no idea what's coming. But I think once it becomes mainstream and once these Oculus headsets become more like bandwidth becomes more compatible with the software that's going to be available, I just think everybody will benefit. It's really hard to explain because, again, I'm probably explaining to a lot of people who haven't seen it yet. So when you try to talk about it, it's like you're almost talking into an empty space. It's kind of just going all over the place. But if you mention internet, everybody's like, oh, I know about that. Whereas you didn't know about that 25, 30 years ago or whenever that was, because I'm getting old. I'm getting up in age now. But so I kind of lost the specifics of how to answer your particular question, but I just think, yeah, the benefits are just massive between patient and between practitioner, whether it's mental health, physical health, faith health. I mean, whatever, just that interaction. If somebody wants to interact with you, right? Yeah, this is cool. Don't get me wrong, but man, you take that VR headset and you pop in a room with them, totally different atmosphere, totally different.
Absolutely, brother. You're so spot on. And especially, right now, people that are like, man, I really want to find out. Go to the HELLO LLC, Hello Plaza headquarters, and you can jump into Metaverse right now, right? From your phone, from your laptop. You don't need to have the VR headsets. I get it. We all get it, right? But this, once again, goes to my conversation earlier. Where are your priorities? If you could spend $500, going out at the club, at the bar, on a ticket, to look good, then you can definitely buy, $500 headsets to build your business in the future, because the future is already here. People are talking about, oh, it might be, it might not. No, they have a study right now, right, by Accenture in your field, right? And they said that 90% of healthcare physicians are saying that the metaverse is the future. Okay. And I always tell people, I talk facts. This ain't feelings. This ain't David going out and talking to Dr. Smith and Dr.
It's not making it up. No. It's coming regardless. It's you feel it or not, or you don't think it's coming. No, it's coming.
Right. And so, how can the virtual reality, and the metaverse be used to improve, training and education for the healthcare professionals?
Well, VR healthcare. Well, I have a Facebook page, VR healthcare, and I actually post about the training. A lot of top universities are now using it for educational purposes. Now, we could talk medicine. We could just talk about regular academics. I mean, at the end of the day, the presentation of this technology is so much more refined and so much more detailed and so much more exuberant. So in the educational world, it just allows for so much hands-on training. And I'm going to say something that's a little bit different, but I was watching a VR, and this was real, but this wasn't exactly VR, but it's in a VR 360 headspace on the scientists in Alaska taking core samples in one of the Arctic circles, right? So it was amazing because I was right there with them. Like I was there with them, like I was cold actually. And just to watch them do that. And I was thinking, if this was my profession, this guy could teach me exactly what he's doing. And I'm not looking at it on a 2D screen. I'm looking at right here as he pulls his core and he does the reading. And it wasn't an educational thing. I was just watching, but I just realized, wow, he could be teaching me right now. And it's so different in that 360 environment than seeing it on a computer, because when you walk to that core or that ice, you know exactly what to do. Last part, they had a ship, and the ship's controls are right in front of me. And all I could think of was, wow, somebody could show me how to, what all this means. So from an educational perspective, the immersiveness is what's massive. And that's what's going to captivate. That's why when people, like, you'll find people that say, people say the metaverse is going to fail. Yeah, no, it's if you haven't seen, and if you're right, and you mentioned, if you haven't put the time in, the hours to really explore, not just like multiverse we're in or the other platforms, if you've seen some of the other options that you have in terms of what you can do, the things you can create by hand once you learn the tools. It's amazing. From an educational standpoint, it's limitless. And here's the thing, it's only going to get better, and it is where it is now, and it's amazing. What the heck is it going to be in 5 years?
That part. And not only that, brother, copy, paste, drag, drop. It can't get any simpler. It's not that hard, right? And so, we're talking about all the good things, right? And people are like, oh, these two guys, they're in it, they're for it,
Sure.
What potential challenges or concerns do you see for the adoption of, virtual reality in the healthcare field, and how can they address that? Because that's a conversation we've had just with the on-rolling, and we can understand that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think security issues and patient data is probably the number one priority. When you think HIPAA compliance, I mean, there's a couple platforms out there that do have, it's one of the first things they mentioned is HIPAA compliance. I mean, you have to protect the patient's data. So when they're putting it out there, because they are kind of putting it out there a little bit, even though they're speaking one-on-one, but because nobody's gotten used to the technology yet, there has to be a level of security. And also you have to work with patient compliance, and it's always liability. So you have to make sure whatever you're conveying is conveyed in a particular way. Those protocols haven't been established yet because the medical community is not totally involved in the metaverse just yet. But I'm sure that will be an issue that will be addressed immediately. And I think anytime you're going to have consultation or speak to people, there just have to be protocols in place. Also, people have to be verified of who they are. You have to make sure who you're speaking to. The doctor has to be verified. So there's security issues with that. Anybody can go in there and say, I'm a brain surgeon, I'm this, I'm that, and give people false information. Like the people who were doing the sign language on TV, but people like, dude, this guy's faking it. Like, they don't know. So that person wasn't verified. They weren't KYC. So I think that's the most important. I think patient data is important. And obviously you can get into blockchain and stuff like that, that importance of, that stuff is important. But I think Internet of Things, like one of your guests had mentioned Internet of Things. I think that's trying to address some of that.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and that goes to just people understanding that this is something that's in progress. And you did amazing posts a long time ago.
That's right.
I've copied and pasted, and you talk about how they talked about the Ford lawyers, telling them, hey, don't invest in the cars.
Right.
Satellites, won't make it. It said the TV, nobody will ever sit in front of a box on their floor, for 8 hours. They said don't invest in the Tesla, don't do this. And we have to be able to understand. You were probably the same one that said, oh no, I'm not getting on Facebook. Yeah. You got on Facebook.
I'm not getting a cell phone. Why do I need a cell phone in my pocket when I have a nice home phone right here? If I'm not home, you don't need to reach me. Now that person has a cell phone.
Hello, right?
Instagram.
Instagram. Oh, those kids, they dance on Instagram. You on Instagram for your business. Oh, that TikTok, those kids just on there dancing. You on TikTok. YouTube? Nah, I'll never watch my TV through YouTube. You on YouTube. So this is another one of those things that we really got to start thinking.
I tell people just
yeah, come on, right? And so, and with that being said, you know, do you think the virtual reality, you know, has the potential to bridge, you know, between patients and healthcare providers, particularly in remote areas?
Oh,
right?
Yeah, because the equipment, I mean, Wi-Fi is becoming more simple for people to be able to put it in rural areas. I think, man, you can't get much better than that if you really think about that. If you're in a rural area and you're able to just collaborate with those people and kind of help them with their needs. Also, remember, we're talking about just the beginning, right? So we're talking about just the beginning. So right now, you can create a virtual environment and you can show individual, whether it's healthcare or whether it's water filtration system. It doesn't really matter. But the remote, it will make the world really small, almost like cryptocurrency. It gives the little man opportunity to be on a bigger stage, right? That's what cryptocurrency does, and that's what VR does. Now, all of a sudden, you have access. Now, we're not even going to talk about AI because that is a partner, just really gives you access. You know what I mean? Where big companies only had certain things, not a regular person can jump in and say, wait a minute, I can do this presentation now. Wow. So that goes beyond saying that the rural aspects of it are amazing, because now all of a sudden you have a headset, I have a headset, and we can go through everything you need in a real-time environment and a real vision, and not just a flat 2D screen. It's not impossible, but extremely difficult to figure it out from there. You know, if somebody's showing you how to fix a car, it's different if they have the headset on. If there's some way where they're showing you how this piece moves. But you see their hands move and you see the motion. Yeah. Totally different than looking at it on 2D screen.
Yeah. And you know, you say something that's huge that people have to understand when we talk about, you know, the internet and then the metaverse. Is kind of like saying, okay, do you want to go to the library or do you want to go to the theme park? Right? Do you want to watch? Do you want to read the newspaper, right, or do you want to go to the movies?
Right. This
is where we're at right now.
Right.
It's really making this conversion and understanding, not just from business, right? We've seen people that have come into the metaverse and really, you know, be that, you know, introvert and deal with anxiety, deal with depression, and with them being able to jump into an environment, a place that they are comfortable in their own home, their own space, and they can come in and meet people such as us, you know, and be able to have conversations and really be able to expand their horizons and get over that anxiety. Maybe, you know, not have less depression, you know, maybe be able to meet people.
You know what question I get? It's so funny. I tell people, I said, just think of the metaverse as the internet, right? Just think of it as the internet. Mm-hmm. Next question, can I buy things? Well, I just said, think of it as the internet, right? And they say, well, if you buy it in the virtual world, then do you get it? I'm sorry, just think about it as the internet. I mean, if you can say yes to it on the internet, then you can say yes in the virtual world. You're not going to pick up something that's fake and order something fake. It's going to be the real actual object. And and you know what the other thing, and I know last thing I want to say, not last thing, but just something I want to say because I don't want to forget it. When we talk about digital assets, really quick, this is what's funny. People don't understand. You've been dealing with digital assets. Like this web page right here, this is a digital asset. You've been trained to accept this already. You're just having a hard time dealing where the next level is. This is all. I tell people, I've never seen anybody take a website and put it in their pocket and walk away with it. So is that real? You know, is the website real? So let's go with there.
Well, not only that, brother. Hold on one second before we have a complete kibosh. You know, not only that is that when we talk about the metaverse, people have to understand that. And also another analogy would, you know, be like the internet is a highway and the metaverse is the whole entire city. Yeah. And people just don't get the gravity that through our biz in a box, right? You can literally have your 2D world and your 3D world and combine them together, where in our Biz in a Box, we have you in Metaverse. And when people go into Metaverse, they can come right back out to your Biz in a Box. And so that's why we call it the one app, one tap. When people do go into these 3D immersive worlds from their cell phone, from their laptop, or the VR headsets, there's a big button that says, click here. Right. And you can learn about our wellness. You can learn about our electricity. You can learn about, our Biz in a Box. You can learn about our motion works. You can learn about all these things and purchase it right there. Right. And you too could do the same thing. And this is what I was having a conversation with one of the ladies yesterday. She said, oh, I have my own nail salon and this, that, and the other. And I said, hey, they got the little thing you put your finger in and you're done. Right. So not only is AI and this technology, is helping other people, but a lot of businesses are not going to work.
Can you imagine if you can do that? If you put your fingers in there and I didn't know that was available, but yeah.
You're going to have a decrease in business. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Right? Because yes, mama and grandma that have been accustomed to doing it might do that. But once again, the average age on this planet Earth is 29. And your average 29-year-old is going to understand the concept of time. And they're not going to go spend 3 hours when they can zoop, and change it every other day, other than waiting 2 weeks. So this is where we have to open up our mindset and really be able to, understand how things work and how they can come about. And so, another question I got for you, Doc, are there privacy and security and concerns associated with utilizing, this virtual healthcare? I know you talked about the HIPAA, but is there anything else that you could think of?
I mean, outside of HIPAA and people's information, it might be something I'm missing, but overall, I think that's I mean, you can go into probably minutia, but however, I think that's the overall primary one. I mean, people want to make sure their information is safe. If they're talking to you, they're just talking to you. But I think that's just a matter of getting used to. Like if we were having a confidential conversation right now, because I'm used to the internet, the automatic assumption is we're okay. So when people get to that point, when they realize the metaverse is really okay, once certain things are put in place and certain protocols and some standards of operation, I think at that point, people will be just fine. So I think just patient information and security, but I think that's just going to come with time. I mean, people were scared to drive cars at first, from horse and buggy to going, 25, 30 miles an hour or whatever it was. I mean, that had to be a frightening experience for people. You know what I mean? But once you get used to it, I mean, look, kids in their Chargers going 90 miles an hour, so people get used to it real fast.
Real fast. And, with that being said, how do you envision, the collaboration with the healthcare industry and the traditional healthcare industry? Where do you see the future of, the healthcare? How does that look for you with you being, entrenched in it?
I think people are going to start having virtual consultations before you even come in. I think that's just what it's going to be. I think people are eventually going to have virtual consultations. So things that have to come in, and things that don't. And I think that will save a lot of time, energy. And I also think it will improve treatment protocols, because I think people will be able to engage a little bit better, because now they can talk to that healthcare or that nurse or that a healthcare professional one-on-one and say, hey, or it could be a collaborative effort. It could be a bunch of nurses in a room, and then you're talking about what your issues are and everybody's giving their opinion. It's, to me, it allows people to be safe in their home environment and just feel more comfortable. And again, what I mentioned was your senses take over. You cannot tell yourself when you have that headset on, try to tell yourself you're sitting on your couch. Try to tell yourself you can't do it. Your mind is like, nah, you're not on your couch. You're right here with these nurses who are giving you information to understand your medical problems. I'm telling you. And also it will streamline healthcare. So now you don't have to do this, stop here, there. It'll be nice and streamlined, because everything you will need will be right there. If you have to go to get a particular test, that nurse can pull out a diagram of that test in here and explain to you exactly what that test does. If you have any type of illness, they can show you pictures of the sample of the sample symptoms of that particular illness. It's just so much, but it's shown to you in a 3D environment. So that's what makes it amazing. And so that's where I see. I see it just being streamlined. I see everybody having virtual consultations. Like imagine a plastic surgeon. Also, let's keep in mind, remember, we're talking about the beginning. So your avatar, there might be a regular avatar where you do for fun, where you have blue hair and a mohawk, but then there's going to be the avatar that's literally you, right?
Your health and everything, your diagnostics, your
everything, down to your measurements, to your feet, to your body, everything down to when they digitize that, it'll be you exactly. So now we're not going to talk about buying clothes, but it's going to be you. So everything that can be that needs to be customized to you, it will be you. So I just think it's going to be amazing how if you, like, let's say you have a body type, let's say a plastic surgeon, for example, he can 3D render your entire body. He can go through everything right there. You already have to do that in his office, but now he can do it at the comfort of his office, at the comfort of your home. And now you can create that collaborative effort without having to go in per se.
Yeah.
I just think some things like that are going to be amazing.
Well, I mean, and if you could share with the people, you mentioned, virtual conferences, but people are doing teleservice right now, meeting with their doctors and physicians, especially during, the pandemic. And, this is where this new concept allows us to go into this 3D immersive world, especially like for you, right? I ain't got to show up and sit in no doctor's office for 30, 40 minutes waiting on you to see me, because you might be in the back eating your sandwich, right? And so
it has happened.
Exactly, right? And so now it allows you and I, and especially for the Black community, to get rid of that old-fashioned mentality of, I'm not going to the doctor, I'm not getting checked up, I'm not doing that because I don't have time, I don't have the bandwidth, and I don't want to go, because we just don't go until something's really wrong. And so if you could talk to that real quick, how do you see the metaverse being able to help out the Black community?
I do. I think it just goes to like callbacks. Black community, we're impatient. Who wants to wait on the phone for 2 hours? Now, what do? They ask for your phone number, they call back. How many people now engage with that particular situation where it's paying their phone bill or waiting for a doctor to answer or a nurse to answer? So VR can be the same thing. Now, all of a sudden, it's callback, but in virtual. And now we're talking about an immersive environment that has, these other emotional aspects to it, like you feel like you're there. So just think about that, for example. Now, all of a sudden, your doctor can call you back in a virtual space. I think that's another aspect of it that's just going to be really, really amazing. So as far as the Black community, it allows you to, unfortunately, with people have to do as minimum effort as possible. Cutting coupons. Now you can just look the coupon up on your phone. Remember, everything's just easier, right? And I think as long as you make it easier, and I'm not calling people lazy or anything like that, but people just have society and living life and raising kids is way too complicated. You don't need anything else on your plate. But if you do have a problem or a question, maybe there's you're not feeling well, maybe you have some questions, to be able to do that. I mean, think about that you can actually reach out to a doctor and put yourself on some sort of timeline, and they give you a virtual callback. And now you can engage with that medical professional VR environment. That's going to be incredible. And that's going to allow people to address issues that they wouldn't normally address. And they're addressing it from their own house. So that's a level of being comfort. You don't have to sit in a waiting room looking at people talking about, I wonder what your problem is. You got the same thing I got? It just allows it to be comfortable. So now you can do everything out the comfort of your own home. And I think that's where the Black community, as well as any community, will see the benefits, because you just have to move things a small percentage points to be able to impact a large community. I mean, just a few percentage points, and there's so many other people that could be helped. From my perspective, diabetes, you have a cut on your foot. Let's talk about it. Call you in some antibiotics, boom. As opposed to somebody saying, I cut on my foot, no big deal. Blood sugar's out the roof. They're not paying attention. Now they wake up, their foot's twice the size, and they have osteomyelitis, and now they're in line for an infection if IV antibiotics aren't productive. But if it's easy for them, I got the cut in my foot, let me get a virtual callback from the nurse will look at it, we got to get you some antibiotics, because they're going to have the professional knowledge to know, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but antibiotics is the first line of defense at this particular point. And there'll be so many less amputations for silly issues, non-traumatic. People just follow up on basic stuff. So if we can just move that needle a little bit, think about how that number would go up. I think 126,000 non-traumatic amputations. Those are amputations that have just occurred over just mismanagement of a basic issue. Not always basic, but I'm sure there's a few of those in there as well.
Yeah, well, brother, you mentioned something, that's huge. A lot of the times we are behind on technology. We're behind on all these things. And this is an opportunity for us to really, get up and catch up with copy, paste, drag, drop.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey.
Hi, you guys. How are you?
Amazing.
Awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us this evening and for speaking. Where can people find you both?
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Oh, I was about to say, I know where you're at. That man's amazing. What you've done with HELLO LLC, you've done a lot of work. Myself, I'm in private practice in Philadelphia, but as far as VR healthcare, I'm on the Multiverse platform and working on other platforms like VR chat, and just trying to establish myself in all, just like, HELLO LLC has done. But in practice, my website is easy. If anybody's in the Philadelphia area, mybadfeet.com. You cannot forget that name. But if anybody ever has any questions or anything like that, I tell them, hit my website, mybadfeet.com, and there's a box there where you can reach out to me, and I can answer questions, including questions of where I think about metaverse and the healthcare world.
Awesome. Thanks. And David, this is the time for you. Where can people find you as well?
The HelloLLC.io, and you can go into all of our metaverses, find out about everything that we do. One app, one tap into the future. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Genius is coming, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
Are you an innovative entrepreneur or business owner ready to embrace the future of business transformation?
The world is evolving at an unprecedented pace, and it's crucial to adapt and pivot towards success in this dynamic landscape. At the HELLO LLC, we are dedicated to guiding you through this transformative journey, offering a comprehensive suite of services that extend beyond the metaverse and 3D immersive experiences.
Our mission is to empower businesses and brands by assisting them in building, branding, systemizing, and automating their operations. We specialize in steering businesses from a two-dimensional existence to a thriving three-dimensional presence, where opportunities abound.
We help businesses harness the power of technology to work smarter, not harder, enabling them to operate efficiently and stay ahead of the curve. Our diverse range of services includes:
Our Biz in a Box is a complete business solution package designed to jumpstart your entrepreneurial journey. From strategic planning to digital infrastructure, we've got you covered. Your one app, one tap solution.
Our Motion Work AI videos transform your brand storytelling with our cutting-edge AI-driven video production, captivating your audience like never before.
Our 3D VR environments will step you into the future of immersive experiences. With our custom 3D virtual reality environments that engage and captivate your customers.
Lastly, in our Pivot membership program, we offer tailored guidance and support to either show you, teach you, or take care of the transformation process for you.
According to a 2023 study by Fundera, a staggering 28% of small businesses in the United States do not have an online presence. This statistic underscores the importance of embracing digital transformation. Having a website is more than just an online presence, it's a gateway to unlocking numerous benefits, including reaching a broader audience, showcasing your products or services, generating leads and sales, establishing trust, providing customer support, and maintaining competitiveness within your industry.
The HELLO LLC is committed to helping you excel in all these aspects of modern business, not just limited to the metaverse alone.
Why should you choose the HELLO LLC to navigate this transformational journey?
By partnering with us and harnessing cutting-edge technology, you can provide immersive experiences for your customers, expand your global reach, reduce operational costs, and enhance brand recognition, all while working with a company that holds integrity in high regard. Our commitment to ethical and principled business practices ensures that your journey towards success is not only innovative, it is also firmly rooted in trust and transparency.
Don't wait. Take the first step towards a brighter business future. Contact us today to explore how we can support you in developing a remarkable digital presence and immersive experience that will leave a lasting impression.